Welcome back to Bold of You to Say. We're back to talk about a lot of things. This episode was just kind of
just a fun one.
Yeah, just kind of talking about things that we like.
We went over CRISPR a bit at the beginning.
Yeah, talked about the ethics of genetic modification. Talked a bit about PS5 scalping.
And then after that, it's just Spider-Man and Star Wars.
Yeah, our two favorite topics.
Talk
a little bit about Back to the Future.
Oh yeah, that's right. Time travel and why it sucks.
Yeah, time travel sucks. Fuck time travel.
Fuck time
anyway,
travel.
all those topics will be listed out with timestamps down below, so you can skip to whatever topic you'd like. Remember to subscribe, leave a comment. Leave a comment with a suggestion for whatever else you want us to talk about in upcoming episodes.
We will ignore them. But
no, we
also
won't.
To that one person that's really thirsty at all of our comments, I don't
it's
know
not
who
even
you
one
are.
person. It's not even one person. It's like a large number of accounts that just leave thirst comments and porn links.
It's like, I don't get why you do it.
YouTube removes them because they're obvious like virus links, but still like it's weird. I just want to know. I just want to know why. But
are you doing okay?
Yeah, just if you need someone to talk to, like, find a therapist. Like, don't come to us because we're not licensed and we don't know you. Also, you keep commenting on our videos, so we are biased against you. But anyway, yeah.
We have nothing against people getting help. It's just we aren't the people you should be asking for help. Unless it's about Star Wars lore.
Yeah, if you want to know about Star Wars lore or Spider-Man lore, we are the people to come to. But
Ben 10 lore.
Ben 10 lore also. Actually, hit up Kira the artist if you need help about Ben 10 lore, because he knows more about it. We use him as a source.
And for everything else, talk to us, because I think we've absorbed enough media.
Yes.
This isn't Bold of You to Say anymore. It's just the lore podcast.
Yes. Speaking of Bold of You to Say, on with the show.
Hell yeah. I'm just going to talk about my first impressions in PC shit.
All right. Yeah. Tell the audience about your PC experience so far. Now, Jared, to start off the show, why don't you tell me what it's like being a part of the PC master race?
I gotta admit, it's kind of frustrating most of the time. Like, I spent most of the night last night trying to fix a bunch of files for Skyrim modding to work. And that was an experience. Let me tell you. You ever had it to where you just spend like 4 hours of what was originally going to be the time you sleep?
To be honest,
to figure out.
That's part of why I never got into modding.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, what's the point of having Skyrim if you're not going to mod it to holy hell?
That's why I don't play Skyrim.
My boy. How can you have a PC and not have a copy of Skyrim?
I don't know. I just never got into it. Like a lot of like single player games, it has to be something that I'm already into, you know?
Yeah. No, I know what you mean by that.
Yeah, like to get into it, there has to be something that I can like latch on to as like a point of interest. Like the Fallout games, I was able to get into those because of like the radio stations. The music slaps.
Some of the best hits of the 1920s.
I don't want to set the world on fire.
Nah, best one's Butcher Pete.
Oh, that's a good one.
He's hacking, he's whacking, he's slashing.
That's a really good one. Another one,
Shop demo.
Grandma Plays the Numbers.
Oh yeah.
That's a good one. That one doesn't get as much love as the other ones. I don't think it's even on Spotify. Like it's on Spotify, but it's not available on Spotify.
Yeah, I always hear everyone go on and on about ones like Wanderer or
Wanderer is like the
Rocket
Fallout
69.
song.
It's
Wanderer is good, but it's like you can only play it so many times, you know?
Yeah. No. The Fallout song, and I'm gonna get flack for this, is from New Vegas, and that's Big Iron.
Yeah, I never played much of New Vegas, so I don't think I've heard that one.
It's a lot of like folky kind of country swing. I don't know what genre it is, but it's old.
Yeah,
I think it might be blues, but that music though, that song, Big Iron on His Hip, that fucking song is, in my opinion, the song you hear, you just think Fallout. That and
Atom Bomb Baby, that's another good one.
Yeah, that one. That one is definitely like the vibe I want from Fallout 4.
Yeah. So Fallout 4, Fallout 4 was the first one that I played in the series.
Oh man.
Because I borrowed my friend's PlayStation 4 copy of it.
Yeah.
So like the songs from that, those are like the classics for me. Then I played Fallout 3, and then I tried to get into New Vegas, but I don't know, it's like a combination of like not having the time for it and also having like a shit attention span.
Yeah, New Vegas, you do have to like focus a lot on specific things, especially once you get like the midpoint. Because at that point, depending on where you go, which faction you choose, you have to like deal with the sub factions and stuff. And
yeah,
there's a whole bunch of different ways you can do that.
Also, like the atmosphere of it, I don't know, just the whole like desert like aesthetic, and like the brown Pip-Boy, the brown interface on the Pip-Boy, that's the poop brown interface.
You can change that if you want. Yeah, there's an option to change it. However,
I don't know. I like to play it as the developers intended, you know?
I feel you there. However, there is an option. Hear me out. It's very difficult to do it, but if you look up a guide on your phone or something first before you do it, get the Pimpboy 3 billion.
The what?
The Pimpboy 3 billion in Fallout New Vegas.
Pimpboy 3 billion.
Yep. In Fallout 3 New Vegas, there is a hidden, unique Pip-Boy you can get from the shop vendor Mick at Mick and Ralph's if you do a little unmarked side quest for him. It's very buggy, and if you don't do the right speech checks and stuff, it will fail. There are some that you have to fail and stuff. It's
how far into the game is this?
As soon as you unlock the strip. So as soon as you get to Freeside and figure out how to get in the strip, and there's like two main ways to do it. You either help Elvis Presley and all his peeps, or you just get like 5,000 bottle caps and you can buy access to it. What I usually do is the Elvis Presley guys stuff because they're fun. But
I think I'm gonna try that. I'll try that sometime.
It is very difficult, but if you can do it, it is by far the best Pip-Boy to ever have. When you get it, it plays like funky porn music for like the first time you put it out.
This is something that the developers put into the game.
Yep. The Pimpboy 3 billion.
I love it.
It is solid gold and encrusted in diamonds.
I want that, but like in real life. Like that's something I could carry around with me.
You just whip it out real quick. Hey lady, look at this. It's my Pimpboy 3 billion. It might be 3 million. I know it's bigger than 3,000 though. I think it's 3 billion though. That sounds ridiculous enough for it. Yeah, no, it's billion. It's Mick and Ralph's, and you have to do a side quest involving overthrowing the Omerta family, which is like 15 minutes if you know what to do. But the difficult part is, though, you have to go through everything the exact way they have it set up, or else you will fuck it up and not get it.
No pressure.
Yeah, no. When I was doing it the first time, I had one save, and I would have to resort to that constantly. Because it's just... Ooh, to say it's a pain in the ass, my man, that's an understatement and a half right there. But it's worth it. That and the a lot of the unique armors you can get, especially the Arcade Family Tesla armor. It's Enclave armor you can get after you complete the Scientist Guy Arcade Ganon's whole side quest. but it is, in my opinion, one of the better sets of power armor. And it's just another one of those things where it's like, too good, man. It's too good. But the pain in the ass part about that, though, is you have to find every single one of the Enclave remnants, and they can be tricky. You have to resolve the issues that they have. For example, one of them just wants to go and kill everyone, and you got to try and stop him. If you stop it without bloodshed, you can. I think that's how you get the armor. You can also get the normal power armor, which isn't as good, but you know, it's still a unique set of armor. But to do that, you have to kill the guy. But it's one of those like side quest things where it's a faction you can recruit, but you have to build it back up. But yeah, no, fucking New Vegas, that's the shit, man.
Yeah, my favorite part of the Fallout games is like you don't have to be good at first person shooters to play them.
Oh yeah, with VATS and everything, makes shit 10 times easier. New Vegas.
No, when I was playing Fallout 4 though, it was like my first experience with the Fallout games, and I was just playing through it, and it took me like an embarrassingly long time to figure out like how to use VATS.
Oh yeah,
so I just kept dying over and over again.
Oof. That's the thing that with Fallout 4 though, it's got the best first person mechanics in it. Every other one is worse. Yeah. Fallout 3 doesn't even have iron sights. That's how bad it is at times. But New Vegas, though, that's Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 put together. So it's got the limitations of Fallout 3, but it's got a whole bunch of, like, some of the funner stuff from Fallout 4. But overall, though, it has more freedom of choice. So, like, you know how Fallout 4, you had the 4 factions you could pick?
Yeah.
Fallout New Vegas also has 4 factions. The difference is, though, there's sub-factions and stuff. And depending on how you build the factions and stuff, it, like, you know, it just changes how the ending plays out and everything. Like, you still win every single time, because, I mean, if you die, you lose. But depending on which factions you have recruited to your side and everything like that, like, changes who shows up and, like, what events you get to see and shit like that. It's like if you get no factions, because the final fight is on top of Hoover Dam, because that's where you are. You're in Nevada,
right?
But depending, if you get no factions besides the base faction on your side,
I want to join the based faction.
The based faction. Well, get in line. There's too many. It depends. You wanna have a dictatorship, but it's like not evil. You wanna have Rome, but there's more slavery. You want it to just be normal America, but now there's evil mutants everywhere too. Or do you just want to say fuck it and let the whole city burn?
Honestly, in the Fallout universe, it looks like the best option is to say fuck it.
I always go with Mr. House. He's the dictator guy, but he's not bad. He's just kind of an asshole. He's a prick, definitely.
Yeah. Isn't there one where like the leader calls himself Caesar?
Yeah, that's the Legion. They're basically Rome, but with more emphasis on the slavery part. But they're an what is it? A dictatorship. So they're an autocracy that's all about like you're free to do whatever you want, so long as Caesar is okay with it. But Caesar's kind of a douchebag anyways. And like there's certain like religious shit that gets in the way, like for example, no technology. Like all medicine has to be like healing powders and shit. However, Caesar gets his own autodoc, which is a robot designed to perform surgery on you. And he just has that. No one else is allowed to use it. Only he is.
Damn, I wonder if there are any real life parallels.
Yeah. No, the Legion are my least favorite. I always hated them. Everything about them just screams obvious bad guy, but people keep picking them.
I wonder if there are any real life parallels to that.
But no, it reminds me though a lot about like in Skyrim there's the Stormcloaks, and they're just racist. Like the whole conflict of Skyrim is the Stormcloaks want Skyrim to be only Nordland. They don't want any of the other races in it. And they got mad because the Empire lost a big civil war between them and the Eldmeri Dominion. And the Eldmeri Dominion are all elves. So one of the things that they did is they removed the human god from the Pantheon, who wasn't there until like the Third Era anyways. So like, you know, that's a controversial topic in Skyrim. But so they're like, oh, there's no human god, it's only the elven gods. And then like, you know, so basically the whole conflict of Skyrim is how racist are you and how much do you want to repress religion? So Reddit atheists are always going to pick Imperials, and people that frequently visit r/poll or -poll or whatever it is are definitely going to be Stormcloaks.
God, I remember when I was a Reddit atheist.
I wasn't that bad. I was on Facebook and I'd say things like God's not real and stuff like that.
No, that's me though. I was on Google Plus and then Facebook. I was never on Reddit
Plus
during my Reddit atheist phase, but I was a Reddit atheist.
Yeah, no, I feel you there. I wasn't that bad. I was definitely going there, but I wasn't that bad. Like a lot of my hot takes were kind of cringe, not gonna lie.
That reminds me though, where is the neckbeard representation in Hollywood?
Oh, it's the background guy. I forget his name, but
the guy that's an extra in every movie.
The one that's a really bad extra because you always notice him.
Yeah, because he's in every movie.
He always overreacts too. I love him so much though. That man gets more money than all of us combined. And people are like, look at this asshole. Look at how bad he is. It's like, yeah, but also who's getting paid $3 trillion just to do this? It's like everyone hates him, and that's why people like hiring him. And it's just
to have that life.
Oh, it's beautiful.
But I was watching this video with Haley the other day about like the idea of like talent belonging to the beautiful.
Yeah,
it's just like a breakdown of like society's like bias to only accept talent if it comes from a beautiful person, like a traditionally beautiful person, like, you know, Ariana Grande, etc. Like, you know, there's no like ugly singers, and then when it does happen, like on America's Got, or I think it was Britain's Got Talent, like 10 years ago, there was this woman that went on and she was like not traditionally beautiful, and she was like a bit older, but she could sing. Like she had like the most beautiful like Broadway level voice. She became chops. Like an international sensation just because she was like a air quotes ugly looking singer. And I don't like to call people ugly, but that's like, that was like the general thing, you know?
That
but it's like
brings up another point though about like how America's Got Talent and stuff, like how it's so pandering to like okay, look at the America's Got Talent winners. Tell me, how many of them are like ugly, disfigured, or homeless children?
Yeah, honestly, like America's Got Talent is a whole other issue. But this video though, like even when it was talking about like in the past, like, so this video like did like a breakdown of when society went towards this direction of only accepting talent from beautiful people. This guy was talking about how like in the past, like decades ago, like in the 60s, 70s, around then, people were primarily listening to music, just on its own as music, like with through the radio or on records.
Yeah,
so they weren't watching the
people.
Yeah, they weren't watching the people that were performing the music. So you'd have more like I guess, regular looking people. And the guy was like talking about how, like, yeah, you know, back then there were people that didn't fit the traditional beauty standards. And he was showing like David Bowie and Queen and the Rolling Stones, some of the most fuckable people to walk this earth.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean when there's no like where is the neckbeard representation? Where is the representation for the truly horrific looking people in our society?
Yeah, no, I feel you there. Where's my representation, Hollywood?
In every Hollywood movie, or like, you know, every, you know, general Hollywood thing, whenever it's like, oh, we're representing the non-traditionally beautiful, it's still like the most air quotes non-traditionally beautiful they'll go is like quirky girl next door level.
Yeah. Like a girl with a little bit of chub on her, like barely any,
but still fuckable.
Like, yeah, it's like, yeah, that girl's ugly. She's got a slightly crooked nose.
Like plus sized model is like the most they'll go in that direction, but they're still a model, you know?
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. A lot of that stuff is just so...
It's either fuckable people or disfigured people that you see in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Or like in movies. And even then the disfigured people...
For like
the disfigured
roles.
People are like fuckable people in makeup.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
I mean, there are some exceptions, like American Horror Story, like actually has actors that... I don't want to say disfigured because that's like kind of offensive, and honestly I get it because I wouldn't want to be called disfigured.
Yeah.
Whatever the word is, I don't know it. But yeah, that's what they hire for American Horror Story for one example.
You know, there's no real good word for it. Every word that I know for that is either like malformed, disfigured, just shit like that. There's no other word.
Yeah.
Beautifully challenged.
I understand them not like wanting to be called stuff like that, because I would not want to be called disfigured if I had like a massive scar or if I was like a burn victim. Because honestly, they're like that through no fault of their own.
It's even worse for them that have like genetic abnormalities.
Yeah.
Like the guy that's super tall. It's like,
yeah,
like people that were in the freak show, you know, not the real one, not the sing along one.
Right. The Greatest Show, the Greatest Showman, that movie made up of entirely fuckable people.
Yeah.
Like Zendaya's in the freak show.
Yeah. I want to know what her, because
she's good at acrobatics, I think.
Yeah. I guess I should be in the freak show. I'm good at eating. Like, you want to show us some like gross freaks? Fucking.
You know who the real freaks are?
Keeping up with the Kardashians.
The corporations, man. No, like corporations hijack all these like social justice things to like virtue signal and be like, look at how great we are, buy our product.
Yeah.
Like, they always do that. Like they'll latch on to whatever movement, like whether it's like gay pride or whatever. And they'll just make it about them. Twitch, I think I told you about this. Twitch has taken away the ability for streamers to do a blind run through of a game. You can't tag your video as a blind run through. Yeah, because it might be offensive to blind people, I guess.
I saw the biggest dumbass ever. This is an old conversation, and if that person's listening to me, I really hope that you've changed.
If that person is listening,
yeah,
go fuck yourself.
No, but kind of, yeah.
No, like, we love you. I actually
this
don't know
is an actual argument I had on Twitter, and it was someone had posted.
Hold on, is this someone that we know, or is this a random person?
That's a random person, someone online. So in case that they do follow us, which is astronomically low
when this show blows
currently.
up.
Yeah. But this fucking jackass was like okay. Let me start from the top again because I'm not wording things correctly. So this other person, the patient zero of this event was just a famous guy on Twitter. He reposted a thing and it's like, oh hey, look at this cool thing that they're doing at hospitals now. And it's like doctors are trying to figure out a way to cure blindness before the baby's born and shit, and they think they found a way or something. It was something like that.
Oh, I think I know where this is going.
And some fucking asshole just started ranting in the comments about how that's inhumane and stuff like that. How removing blind people is just as bad as Hitler. And it's like, I know some blind people. Like, I've talked to them before. Like, I've met people who can't see, and you want to know something that they usually say at some point? Like, if like,
God, I wish I could see.
Yeah, it's usually like, oh yeah, here's a fun life where you can't experience most of it.
Yeah,
it's like
the best case scenario for if you're blind is if you like become Daredevil.
Yeah,
but other than that, it's just.
Or you could see, but then you became blind, because at least at that point you can still understand colors and stuff.
Yeah,
at that point you can at least remember fondly what things looked like.
Oh,
but
God,
like
that
most
just
blind
reminded
people,
me of that just reminded me like I don't remember like who I heard this from, but there was like this job interview or like this online like job application, and you know how they have like questionnaires on them sometimes.
Yeah.
One of them was like, how would you describe the color yellow to a blind person?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
The easiest way I can describe the color yellow is warm, but also exciting.
Yeah, I mean, that's not bad. I mean, I guess as color descriptions go, that's not the worst. But I'm sorry, go on with your story.
Oh, yeah. So it was just everyone just started trash talking that person, and then they just started blocking people, saying that we were the racist homophobes and all this other shit. No one ever mentioned any of that stuff, by the way. There were a couple of trolls, but they were already like, you know, well off on their own side. But it was like about a good 10 people commenting on her thing saying like, no, this is actually a good thing. And she's like, you all just want eugenics, you horrible humans. And it's like, God damn, I really hate being around here.
See, there's a difference though between killing off a certain group, like and with disabilities,
curing blindness.
Yeah, like there's a difference between like killing all blind people and preventing people from going blind.
Yeah. Not to this person though. They're basically the same thing.
Okay. This reminds me, I'm sure I've told you about this. So Haley took American Sign Language in sophomore and junior year of high school. And she told me about how like there's like this whole deaf culture, because you know, of course there is. If you have any group with a common denominator, whatever it is, they'll form their own culture, whether it's based on race, religion, whatever. In this case, they have a deaf culture. All these deaf people that have like, I mean, they don't have like their own holidays or customs or anything, but they keep in touch.
For a second, I thought you were saying death.
No, deaf, death
like
culture.
Death culture. It's like, what the fuck are we going on?
No,
now?
that's a cult.
Yeah, that's just a cult. That's what we have. Yeah, so they have like the whole. They have their whole thing.
Yeah, so there's like debates that go on, and this is like an ongoing thing about like these. So there's procedures that you can get as a baby if you have deaf parents and you're gonna be deaf. Like if it's a genetic thing, they can like I think they can give you like an implant, that will like allow the baby to be able to hear, and they'll grow up being able to hear as opposed to being deaf. And some parents forego that because they don't want to like erase their deaf culture. And also like that excuse, like that reason, total bullshit. I don't agree with that at all, just to start off with. But also there are valid reasons, like not being able to afford it. And if you are a deaf parent raising a hearing child, you will have to like shell out money for like a tutor to teach your kid how to like, talk. And, just, be able to like teach them stuff like verbally. So I understand cost being a factor. Honestly, it shouldn't be. I have said this before. We should have a Medicare for all system, and it should cover stuff like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. 100%, man.
Now that out of the way, if either you can afford it or it's being covered by insurance, or if you're in another country, if it's covered under your single payer system, you can't not allow your child to hear.
Yeah. It's like, in my opinion, it's like,
and there's a complete difference between that and actual eugenics.
It's like I can understand if people were saying, I mean, who wouldn't want to erase blind people from the world? Because that can be taken in 1,000 different ways, and most of them are bad. But like,
yeah, you got to be clear about that stuff.
The idea of making it to where ailments like losing an entire sense can be both like cured and entirely removed.
Yeah. And that's part of the whole CRISPR debate too.
Yeah.
Like there's like CRISPR, the like genetic altering thing, for anyone in the audience that doesn't know. CRISPR, it's like an acronym. I don't remember what it stands for, but it's basically this form of technology where you can alter the genes of your baby or of a baby to like give them certain traits, and there's debates around whether you should be able to alter certain things. Like, should you be able to make all babies white?
Is this the cat girl shit that people were talking about? Like China's weird genetic...
I think this was involved in some cat girl stuff. Like there's a tangential cat girl conversation.
Amazing. Now I'm all down for CRISPR in the sense of like we could use it to like, not have all these horrible things in people, like like brittle bones disease. I don't know if you've heard about that, but it's a condition in which your bones are essentially just glass and they explode every time you fucking overexert them. I feel like that's something that people wouldn't want.
Yeah. And there's a debate around like what you should and shouldn't be able to CRISPR, like what you shouldn't be able to change about your child if you have access to that technology. Like, obviously, being able to make all babies white, like I said before, that's a huge like Nazi no area. Like, shouldn't even be a conversation, but no, using CRISPR to create an ethno-state is bad.
Yeah. Sorry, Elon Musk.
Yeah. But I mean, I feel like there's a spectrum of certain things that CRISPR can do that's up for debate. Like, on one end of the spectrum, you have like being able to CRISPR your baby's race. That's on like the total like Nazi fascist side. Not up for debate. Don't do it. Then on the other side of the spectrum, there's like being able to
super soldiers.
Yeah, well, there's the side where like making super soldiers, and I guess we can lump that in with like removing genetic defects.
No,
like
what
like
I'm talking about isn't
or
making
deafness.
someone like the best version of something. I mean, like literally going in and creating from birth just meat for the grinder, basically.
I'd say that's more towards the center where it's like up for debate about whether that's ethically correct.
I think,
in my opinion,
I think like giving people the ability, like more, strong suits. I don't know the good word for it. I guess more perks to being alive would be cool.
Yeah.
However, using it just to create an army of genetically modified super soldiers who will never have a childhood and only know war, that is a horrifying idea. And there's like 1,000 different pieces of science fiction media that tells you why you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
Yeah, like on the other side of the spectrum, where it's like being able to remove certain defects like blindness and deafness and other like disabilities like that, I don't think that's up for debate.
That's a good
as
thing.
much, because and like big asterisk, by the way, big asterisk. But yeah, children shouldn't have to be blind or deaf. Children should be able to grow up and live with the full abilities of the human body, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I think it's up for debate. Like, should you be able to do that if you have to pay out of pocket?
No, that's what fucking...
That's where it gets muddy. That's the big asterisk.
The whole...
Because should genetic disease and disabilities be exclusively relegated to the poor? Or should you be allowed to remove things like that if you have the money for it?
There is a slight difficult part in there.
See, if I had my way, CRISPR would be available for that purpose for everyone.
Yeah. But then you gotta deal with the whole like money side to it and all that shit. And that's where the big fucking problem happens. Because, Jeff Bezos ain't gonna fund that shit.
Yeah, it would have to be. See, that's where it gets tricky. Where does the funding come from? It would have to be coming from either the government or a corporation. I don't feel comfortable with the corporation funding, genetic modification.
Yeah, I know
because
a lot of people
like,
aren't going to be on board with the government doing shit to their kids.
I mean, let's just say hypothetically that that Elon Musk was funding this, right? Who's to say he can't kind of, program people with the predisposition to want to work at Tesla as opposed to Amazon? Another way around, if Jeff Bezos wants to do that.
Yeah, no, that's
And then if the government is funding it, then, I mean, do you really want the GOP or the Democrats to be in charge of what's allowed for, or what's on the table for genetic modification?
Yeah, no, that's a lot of just, I'd say gray areas, but like, you're making this seem like there's no good answer here, because everything is.
That's what I'm starting to think, honestly.
No matter what we do, we are slaves.
I came into this conversation a lot more certain.
It's that doomer aura. It's got a hold on you too. Yeah, no, like genetic modifications would be cool if they were free.
That's the only way that it should be allowed.
Society. The problem is though, everyone that's in power is basically insane, and no fun will ever be had.
Yeah. Well, anyway, shifting to a slightly lighter topic.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about this a little bit. The PlayStation 5 has been scalped a lot. Like there's this whole huge market that's popped up for scalping PlayStation 5s. Like specifically the PlayStation 5 for some reason.
It's because pardon me. The PlayStation 4 was a big seller. It was one of the highest selling consoles of the previous generation now.
Yeah, and it seems to me, now I could be just hearing from only a specific subset of news sources or whatever, personal bias, whatever, but it seems to me like the PlayStation 5 is a lot more it's a lot hotter than the Xbox One or Xbox Series X.
I know a lot of it also comes down to just like people's preference in design.
Yeah. Also, though,
people are into
Miles
the new
Morales. like the Spider-Man games coming out on PlayStation 5, that's a big boost because it's like, what Xbox exclusives are there really for this generation? And I know Spider-Man isn't exclusive to PS5; it is available on PS4, but people really want it for PS5 if they can get it.
Yeah,
but it's like, what equivalent of that is there for Xbox?
With Xbox, yeah.
I mean, it would have to be something that you can't get on PC.
Yeah. No, it's difficult. It's like with Xbox, most of the stuff is just because of how crossplay and stuff like that. So it's usually just people who can't afford PCs. That's why I was thinking about getting a Series S up until I got the new machine here.
Yeah.
Which, PC isn't too bad. It's just, frustrating and stuff like that. Some things. Definitely easier for a console. So
console is more plug and play, but it still has other downsides like limited hardware, not being able to upgrade it, not being able to use it for anything other than games.
Oh yeah, but even then,
having to use only a controller,
a shit ton of money even when you upgrade PC. So it's like, what's the difference?
But then when you like.
I know a lot of Xbox things are keyboard and mouse compatible. It seems like they're trying to lean more towards just turning that into a computer.
Yeah, that's the direction it seems like it's going.
With the Xbox Tower.
Yeah, you got to keep in mind though when you're spending money on a console versus a PC. Like when you buy a console, you're spending what, $500 every few years. Or you can spend $800 and have it last up to like a decade.
Yeah.
And just get like incremental upgrades here and there. And you still have a whole computer that you can do whatever you want with.
Yeah. Like, I'm not saying
I wanted to say though, to the listeners, if any of you are the people scalping the PlayStation 5,
die
yeah,
horribly.
Fuck you. You're awful. You're the scum of the earth. Like, I hate you personally if you are a PlayStation 5 scalper.
Fuck scalpers. All my homies hate scalpers. Except this time it's not a joke. Seriously, fuck you guys. Yeah. I hate PlayStation usually, but even I am not a fucking cunt about like buying up all of certain things so no one else can get it. And yes, I'm going to call them a cunt. I know it's a dirty word and probably the grossest word I could ever use on the podcast. But yeah, no, they're fucking cunts.
And like a lot of them, they're not even like when they sell a PlayStation, they're not even selling the PlayStation.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you've heard about it, but a lot of these scalpers are listing PlayStation 5s like on eBay, and they're selling pictures of a PS5. But you don't see that unless you like read the fine print in the description.
Yeah.
So like you think you're spending $900 on or $1,000 plus on a PlayStation 5 when you're getting mailed a picture.
The game was rigged from the start.
I don't know if you heard about this specific story, but one guy spent $900 on the PlayStation 5. And he got a cinder block in a PlayStation 5 box.
I saw pictures on that, and it's just what I don't understand why scalpers are doing that. It's like after a while, they're going to build up a reputation of being a bad seller. Then like, it's just a horrible business strategy. He's going to work like the first week, but then like after you make like, let's just say $9,000 off of doing that because they only sold 9 of them. After that, you want what's going to happen? They're not going to sell anymore, and you're still going to have a fuck ton of PlayStations that are just sitting around. Because who's going to buy from the guy that has had repeated instances of just sending people a fucking brick?
Yeah, or even if you are like, by the way, eBay has buyer protection, so any money that you make on it is going back to eBay because you sold a fraudulent product. But anyway, even if you are, air quotes, legitimate scalper, like you're actually selling what you say you're selling.
Yeah, like even that, it's still Like,
you can get away with that for a little bit, but eventually PlayStation is like, Sony is going to catch up with like having enough PlayStations in stock. So you're going to have a bunch of PlayStations. Like if you keep going with this business model that you've started, you're either going to have a bunch of PlayStation 5s just sitting in your living room, or you're going to have to sell them at a loss.
Yeah.
So anyway, in conclusion, fuck scalpers.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's just like a lot of these scalpers are just some of the shit that they're doing and stuff. It's just, I just don't understand it from a financial point of view, because it's like, what are you gonna do with all the other PlayStations? Like you spent 500 per PlayStation. You have 700 of them, and you can only make.
Well, I don't know if anyone has that many of them, but they're
probably
actually
took out a loan.
There are groups that were started. There are groups where, like, it's basically like a mini mafia for scalping PlayStations.
Micro mafia.
Yeah, where it's like you join them and you like, I guess you give them money in exchange for like having access to PlayStations, so you can like scalp them yourself, or if you just want to buy one. But I guess there's this whole economy built around it, and it's disgusting. So anyway, I wrote this down because I remember you said that you wanted to talk about it. I had this bullet point written down as fuck time travel.
Oh yeah, fuck
now
time
elaborate.
Travel. Okay, so a few nights ago we were playing Fortnite, and I wanted to talk to you guys about a thing I saw in the most recent Back to the Future media thing, which, to my knowledge, was actually from 2010. I thought it came out recently because I didn't hear anything about it, but I fell down a rabbit hole of watching and playing the Back to the Future Telltale game. And it's an amazing Back to the Future story. It's basically Back to the Future Part 4, and it's fucking great. I love it. Everything about it's just like a classic adventure, and it's just perfect. But there's a couple events in it that fucks with my head. For example, at one point in the storyline, like early on, Doc is put in prison, and you have to go and like figure shit out and stuff. Like you have to like try and get him and like save him and shit. But in doing so, you keep rewriting the future and stuff like that. So bad to the point that original Doc gets erased at one point and is replaced by a character called Citizen Brown, who is this like utopia fascist kind of guy. He's like one of the guys from The Giver, where it's like, oh, it's the perfect society.
Yeah.
But as the like pardon me, hold on, I'm gonna take a drink real quick. My throat's getting dry.
Yeah, I remember you were talking about how like at one point you have to erase his timeline.
Yeah, at one point, because you're talking to him and you're like, we have to go back and fix the past so everything's normal again. Like you're talking to Doc, and Doc, like, he's a good guy at heart, so he's like, okay, I understand, we have to go and fix this. But when you actually go back in time and stuff, there's a part where Doc, where Citizen Brown corners you, and he's like, Marty, I've been thinking about this. If we do this, my timeline's gonna be erased. Like, is that really a noble thing? Like, is it good for like, is this a good thing? He's like, basically like, my timeline's gonna be destroyed for what? So yours can live and stuff? Like, and Marty's just completely okay with that. Like, he's gonna genocide 1,000 people. He's gonna literally murder Doc. And he's just okay because that's not his Doc. But it gets even more fucked because his Doc's already dead. Because the Doc that saves him at the end is like a whole different character. And it's like, though, but like Citizen Brown, though, like actually fucking dies. Like he gets erased from time because, you know, Marty goes through and gets the shit that he wants done. And Citizen Brown's just like, I hope you're happy now, Marty, you fucker. And he's like fading out and shit.
it depends on what your definition of killing someone is.
He was erased from existence. Like, there is a cutscene where, like, Marty is holding Doc in his arms and Doc's, like, actually, like, fucking dying. Granted, he was also hit by a car, like, a little bit before this, but yeah, no, he actually fucking dies and is erased from history. And then a new Doc shows up, which is, now this is even more fucky. The biggest thing that started this was Marty was just curious to see how Doc would be when he was a teenager. And so he winds up, like, actually, like, befriending old Emmett Brown.
Yeah, I know about that. I know that much of the plot.
But here's the thing, though, with that. Because that happened and stuff, it erased Doc Brown, the original Doc Brown, normal Doc, and made this other one who's basically the same as Doc, but he grew up with Marty as his friend. And he recognizes that. And it's just fucking insane.
That's weird.
Because, like, Doc's gone. He's fucking gone. Like, old Doc, he's gone. Dr. Brown, Citizen Brown, fucking dies. He's erased from history, and he's well aware of it. And he's talking to Marty. He's like, well, you're gonna destroy my timeline so yours can live and stuff. And he's just not having a good time about that because he knows what they're doing. He knows what it is. And it's just, and then it got me to thinking about, like, all the times they changed the timeline. Marty's killed his entire family with no remorse.
Well, now, like, that depends on what your definition of killing someone is, because, like, with the example of Doc, he's not killing Doc per se. He, like, because when all is said and done, that Doc never existed.
Yeah,
and this new one always existed.
Yeah, but Marty still has the memories of being with that other Doc and seeing how that Doc turned out, and then watching that Doc die in his arms and then disappear from existence. I don't know. I feel like that's probably death. Like, this person had an entire existence, like a whole timeline and everything, and Marty just Thanos'd it. It's like, yeah, he wasn't a good guy. He was kind of like a moral gray character. The main bad guy was his wife, but still, it's like, that's an entire
Well, you could make
existence.
the argument, though. You could make the argument the other way, where, because all these timelines, essentially exist at the same time, ending, like, the new timeline that Marty creates, right? That exists in a theoretical sense, and Marty, through the events that erase fascist Doc's timeline, Citizen Brown's timeline, through the events of erasing that timeline, he is saving this other timeline that exists parallel to that, right? So if Marty doesn't take these actions, that other timeline won't exist. So is he then killing that timeline and everyone in that timeline by not taking the action to erase this other timeline? And so who's to say that Marty isn't killing, by your definition, infinite numbers of timelines by not taking the action to bring them into existence? Isn't he? Is he not killing infinite people by not taking the infinite courses of action to bring them into existence?
And that's why this is called fuck time travel.
Yeah, fuck time travel. I wanted to talk about that too, because last week we talked about Ben 10, right?
Yeah.
And we went into a little bit about how messy the timeline and the lore is. I had no idea just how bad it gets, because I watched another video by the Ink Tank. I will have the link in the description. Breaking down all of the alternate timelines and dimensions in the Ben 10 pantheon. It's just like, I don't want to go into the specifics of it, but basically, like, specifically talking about the timelines, there are like so many instances of going back in time and creating a new timeline and like parallel timelines. Like, remember how we talked about how the live action movie Race Against Time isn't canon?
Yeah.
So apparently that movie and Alien Swarm, the other live action movie, and I think the last episode of the original series, the one that ends with like the one that ends with like, I think Ben's parents finding out about the Omnitrix and like them back in school, like that episode, that's those three stories are all in their own self-contained alternate timeline. And Kuro the artist, the guy that made this video, he runs the Ink Tank YouTube channel. He did like a breakdown of all these timelines, starting with timeline A, and then like counting off all the other alternate branching timelines. He got up to like timeline R. That's how many alternate timelines there are in Ben 10.
Fuck.
And that's not even like the weirdest thing. So in the first episode of the original series, you see like the Omnitrix coming down from space like a shooting star. It's shooting down, and then it like takes like a 90-degree turn towards Ben, right?
Yeah. Was that because Ben hit it with a rock or something?
It is
like another
because
timeline.
Jared, you don't know the extent of it. So in Omniverse, at one point, the whoever the bad guy is, I don't remember, he uses some chrono bomb or whatever to destroy every universe in the multiverse except for one. It is the timeline where Ben doesn't get the Omnitrix. And Professor Paradox takes this alternate timeline Ben, like outside of time. He takes him back in time through his own timeline, right? And then he takes the Omnitrix from Ben Prime, puts it on this alternate Ben, and he says, now go crash into that asteroid as Cannonbolt. And he does, and that knocks the Omnitrix towards his younger self. And then that branches the timeline into what is referred to as Timeline B in the Ink Tank video. So even from the very first episode, we are seeing an alternate timeline technically.
I hate this. I hate this.
In short,
fuck time travel. Bro. I just so confused.
Yeah.
I just
see what I meant when I said that the lore gets weird.
My brain, Alex. Time travel.
I think that's a good transition actually to another thing that I wanted to talk about. So to kind of branch off of that whole time travel alternate universe discussion. So I don't know how much you know about what's referred to as Spider-Man 3, the new Spider-Man MCU movie.
Oh yeah, are they going to do time travel for that now?
I don't know how they're going to do it, but they're bringing back Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire as like alternate Spider-Men.
What?
Yeah, it's like all but confirmed officially. So Marvel and or Sony, I don't remember which studio put it out, but there was this I guess this promotional video that they uploaded and then immediately took down because they were like, fuck, this isn't public yet.
Yeah.
I guess they did some promo video that's like, what's your favorite Spider-Man? Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland. Well, now you don't have to choose because we got all three of them, baby. Yeah. And did you see that Alfred Molina, the actor that played Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2, is coming back to reprise his role?
Oh, he's reprising his role? I didn't know he was reprising his role. I knew he was coming back. I just assumed it was going to be a cameo.
No, he's going to be Doc Ock in this new Spider-Man movie.
Huh.
Yeah. Now, I thought it would be fun to do kind of like a similar thing to what we did last week, where we give like our predictions / kind of pitch our idea for what Spider-Man 3 will be.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. I think, because I know Doctor Strange is going to be in it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be
Ryan
like
Reynolds is also in it. I remember we mentioned, I think I mentioned that like a few episodes ago when we were talking about it, but let me double check. Ryan Reynolds is either confirmed for Spider-Man 3 or the new Doctor Strange. I think it's the Spider-Man one though.
So I think for this to work, though, we're gonna also have to do our theory on Multiverse of Madness, because I really think it's gonna have a lot to do with what happens in that movie. Like, I think what's gonna happen is this new one, whatever.
I forgot. Jamie Foxx is coming back as Electro also, so we're getting a villain from Spider-Man 2 and Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh, we get to see Tooth Gap guy again.
Yeah,
my favorite villain. No, but like, I think what's gonna happen though is in the events of Multiverse of Madness, something's gonna happen. It's gonna fuck with the timeline. Peter's probably gonna get like cleared of. He's gonna get his name cleared somehow, or like they're gonna get sent to a timeline or some shit like that. Or probably what is gonna happen is like time's just gonna break. And Doctor Strange is going to have to try and fix that somehow.
Yeah, it's probably going to tie into Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah. And I think what's going to happen is in the next movie, it's just Doctor Strange helping Peter Parker fix that. Like, I got a feeling it's going to be like Spider-Verse, except, you know.
Yeah,
I have a Spider-Verse light, I guess.
Yeah, I have a couple of specific ideas that I think might happen, like to kick off the whole multiverse thing.
Yeah.
So, my like kind of vague basic idea for like how it'll kick off is I think it'll start off with Peter Parker, Spider-Man. By the way, first of all, I don't know how they're gonna deal with the whole Peter being out as Spider-Man.
That's why I think they're gonna solve it in Multiverse of Madness. I think what's gonna happen is they're gonna
when is Multiverse of Madness coming out?
Before Spider-Man.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, it's when you Google it, it still lists it's still listed as a 2020 movie, but now the release date is March 25th, 2022.
Yeah.
And the new Spider-Man movie, I think, is coming out it is coming out next year. It's 2021.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, shit. Never mind then.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that whatever causes the conflict in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is gonna be set up in Spider-Man.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's probably gonna be like Spider-Verse light then.
Yeah.
Let's say like so like whichever villain they get for Tom Holland's probably gonna be one that's linked to multiverse shit. And he's gonna just fuck everything up for them.
My idea was that Alfred Molina as Otto Octavius, he could just be, you know, an alternate version of Otto Octavius in the MCU, right? And I thought maybe he's like he's Peter Parker's like professor or something, or like a teacher at a special science school or whatever. Or, you know, he could just be a scientist like doing research. But what if he's doing research into like quantum stuff, or basically he figures out time travel, you know? It's similar to, I guess, what Tony Stark did, but it's taking him a lot longer because he doesn't have all of the money and like a stupid level intellect.
Yeah.
But yeah, he figures out time travel, and it's similar to what happens in Spider-Verse, where it like creates a rift in space-time, I guess. And then it brings in his alternate self as Dr. Octopus, and it brings in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, it brings in Electro, brings in Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, and then that's how it kicks off. I don't really have any specific ideas for the rest of the movie. I just want it to be good, honestly.
I mean, with the track record for Spider-Man movies, it shouldn't be too bad. I know everyone says that the most recent one was horrible. I disagree. I loved it.
It's good.
Yeah.
See, that's just a habit that I have a problem with, like a greater thing that people do, where it's like, oh, if this isn't the best thing, then that must mean it's the worst thing.
Yeah.
It's like if a movie is just good, then it's horrible. Like Iron Man 3, it's just good. So that must mean it's horrible, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. A good film? Are you kidding me? Those don't exist. You little rapscallion, you.
Yeah, and that problem is prevalent not just in movies, but also like you know, like we have a couple of friends that are that have very high standards for VR. So anything that's not the $1,000 Valve Index is horrible.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but yeah, I think, and this isn't hyperbole, I think this movie is shaping up to be either the best or the worst Spider-Man movie of all time. Just because of like how many risks they're taking and like just how crazy they're willing to go with it.
Yeah. What if this is the time where it's just terrible?
What if this is the one legitimately bad Marvel movie?
This is the Marvel movie that makes Thor: The Dark World look like fucking Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I try to be optimistic about this stuff. So I think it's going to lean more towards the best Spider-Man movie side.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what do you want to see from this movie? Like what do you think they should do? Like in general with the story and everything?
Well, what I'm worried about with it is since they have a big plot point they have to deal with.
Yeah, how do you think they should address the whole Spider-Man being outed thing?
I don't really know, but it's at the same time it's like they have to do something.
They have to do something. Now, they did a similar thing in Spectacular Spider-Man. I mentioned this to you when we were talking about it, when we were talking about like Venom. I mentioned in passing that Ned Leeds was like obsessed with unmasking Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So that ends up happening. Venom outs Peter Parker as Spider-Man. And for like a couple episodes, it's like, ooh, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Mr. Parker, are you Spider-Man? Oh, Spider-Man, are you Peter Parker? What do you have to say to the rumors? So Venom is the one that says Peter Parker is Spider-Man. They never actually unmask him, so they don't have definitive proof.
Yeah.
So Venom and Spider-Man fight, and Spider-Man ends up like unmasking Venom and being like, hey, look, it's Eddie Brock. He's committed crimes and stuff. You should probably like take care of this guy. And he's like, oh, I'll get you, Spider-Man. I'm Venom. But like he doesn't have the symbiote anymore, so he can't do anything about it.
He's just
so
screaming,
it's like,
I'm Venom.
Well, this guy, everyone in the media is like, well, this guy's fucking crazy. So how can we I mean, he clearly can't be trusted, right? So then he ends up getting his name cleared that way. Now, I don't want them to do anything similar to that in Spider-Man 3, because that is so anticlimactic, because it'll have been 2 years since Far From Home came out. 2 years that we'll have waited for like the resolution to this plot point.
Yeah. I want it to be the main fucking thing. Well, not really. At this point, What I'm hoping for is it's not a really shitty, lazy attempt.
Yeah.
Like let me word this all as clear as I can. I don't care how the movie is. All I care about is that they don't fuck with their own continuity and ruin it all. Because like so many sequel films have these plot holes in them and shit, and almost constantly they're ruined. Like look at the Terminator sequels. Like anytime they try to change the continuity because they fucked something up in the past, it just really ruins everything about that universe, like from its very foundations.
Yeah. See, what I'm worried about is that like this movie has two main like things. Like its main thing is dealing with Peter Parker being outed by Mysterio and concluding that in a satisfying way, and its thing is also introducing the multiverse, the Spider-Verse, if you will.
Yeah. It could go any way at this point, and I'm just worried that it's not going to go the way I want it to. And the way I want it to is just don't turn it into Terminator.
Yeah.
I'm just sick of seeing shows and movies I like turn into fucking Terminator.
Yeah, off the top of my head, like I think the best way that they could do it and still have both of those things be their like thing is if they like throughout the runtime of the movie, right? Peter is outed, he's like on the run, and at the same time, there's this whole like multiverse stuff going on. He has to like team up with the other versions of himself and Doctor Strange, and then they do their whole thing, whatever the plot is with that. But then at the end, Doctor Strange is like fixing everything up, tying up all the loose ends, like taking everyone back to their universe. And he's like, now, Peter, I can take you back to like before all this happened. And I can take you back to that day where you were swinging with MJ and the video came on the screen and he's like offering to somehow like intercept the video so it doesn't go public.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man's like, yeah, go for it. And that could be how they end it and kind of, reset the timeline. Do you think that would be satisfying though?
What? That's how they end it?
Yeah. Do you think that would be a satisfying end to that issue? Because there's only two ways that they can go with it, right? Logically, there's only two ways that they can go. Either they keep with the whole Spider-Man not being like a secret identity anymore and Peter is now public, or they have to somehow just backtrack and be like, no, it's actually not Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Or I guess this is a third way where the timeline literally resets.
Yeah. The reset timeline would probably be more like feasible, really. That's just absolutely off the walls.
Yeah.
It's still just kind of
off the walls is what this movie is shaping up to be.
I mean, not off the walls in a good way, like bad off the walls, like having 4 fucking villains in one movie and expecting it to work out good in the end.
Yeah. Like, I don't know.
Having 4 different characters with completely different plots be the main villains of a movie. That's the kind of level of off the walls I want to avoid.
It's definitely, it's a challenge. It's going to be a challenge for them making, well, I guess it was a challenge because the movie is, I guess, already written, right? Because they're going to be shooting it. But yeah, that's a challenge of making that movie. Like how do you conclude that
storyline while also introducing an entirely new one?
Yeah, and how do you make it satisfying and make sense?
Yeah. I like your idea though a lot. The Doctor Strange one.
Yeah.
Like that would definitely work out pretty well. I know people will probably hate it though, just because it's like, they just glossed over it like that. And it's like, well, I mean, it's Doctor Strange, so yeah.
Yeah. I think they're also going to tie it in somehow with WandaVision, because I remember when I think must have been like a year ago now. In one of our episodes, we were talking about WandaVision and how it's probably going to tie in with Doctor Strange.
That's probably what I'm getting mixed up.
So those three things are related somehow. And
absolutely.
I mean, I guess at the end of the day, I trust the writers at Marvel to make it make sense.
Yeah, I trust them too. It's just
I trust them to tie those two stories with the Spider-Verse storyline, but I don't know how the whole Peter being outed thing fits into that without resetting the timeline.
Yeah, that's the difficult part.
By the way, I think if they do go with that, like the whole Peter being on the run and bringing in the Spider-Men, I think the title should be Spider-Man Homesick to keep with the whole home theme.
I saw someone say homeless.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the idea of homesick because it fits on like multiple levels where like this Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, they're homesick for their dimension. And Tom Holland's Peter Parker is homesick in the sense that he wants to go back to the way things were.
Yeah. Now I see what you're
So that is my pitch. Marvel, if you're listening to this, hit me up. Let's exchange ideas. My people will call your people.
Hit me.
Marvel, if you're listening to this, I want to play a superhero.
Yeah, hit me with a truck. I want to become Doctor Strange.
So, you want to close out the show with talking a little bit about Boba Fett and the Mandalorian?
Yes. Oh, I almost forgot. Fuck yeah, I do. Okay, so fangirl and me really happy. We got fucking Boba Fett back, boys. Looks like they're doing legend shit too. So like, I've been in a fucking stupor going through a rabbit hole trying to figure out what they're doing with Boba Fett now. And from the looks of it, Boba Fett in Mandalorian is just combining a whole bunch of shit from Legends.
Yeah. The like the code of ethics thing, that's a new thing, right? Because
no, that's from an old thing.
I was watching a video about it, and apparently like in the comics, I think like the recent comics that they did like in the last couple of years, like Boba Fett is like a ruthless killer.
Yeah, he's a ruthless killer, but he does have a code of ethics, like certain targets and stuff. Like he looks at it like a like a bounty hunter would.
It's gotta depend on the adaptation, of course.
Yeah,
because different writers have different ideas for the character, and it's a very old character, so you know there's probably times where he does and doesn't have a code of ethics, just depending on the writer. But yeah, you were telling me about his ethics though, and some of them are rather like Christian conservative, right?
Here is a couple of Boba Fett's main ethical shit. First one, Boba Fett will not drink. Oh my god, my stomach. I'm sorry. Does not drink alcohol or do drugs of any nature. Anything that could inhibit his vision or his decision-making skills and shit.
Well, that's just a practical thing. That I understand. Being a bounty hunter, being a man with enemies.
Yeah. But he also does not have sex with anyone unless he is married, and he frowns upon people that do it.
That's where it gets a little weird for him, like being a bounty hunter and being like just a guy like in space in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
Like, good to hear that they have sexual morality, I guess.
It's just, I don't know. It just seems so weird to think about.
Killing people for money, awesome. Having sex before marriage, that's where we draw the line.
Yeah.
I wonder what he thinks about prostitution. Because like that's like sex before marriage. But it's
the thing is though, is
having sex for money worse than killing for money? That's where it like falls apart.
The thing that gets to me about it though is Boba Fett though, like in scenes in like Return of the Jedi, like you're seeing like, you know, flirting with the slaves and shit like that. He's like, what? He's gonna marry them real quick also, just so it's not against his code of ethics. like other parts of Boba Fett's code of ethics that are different, because this one is from the book called like what was it? It's like Boba Fett Last Man Standing or some shit like that. But no, another thing though is stuff that he learned from his father, Jango Fett, which is like their own the Fett code of ethics, which is basically like just be a professional businessman and like lie to everyone. That's actually one of the things he says is like, yeah, Boba, if you're gonna be in this profession, lie to everyone. No one needs to know what your true agenda is. And it's like, oh, okay, nice.
That reminds me though, I think it's really like satisfying that they finally answered the question once and for all: is Jango Fett a Mandalorian?
Yes, that's something I also really want to go into, because this opens up another huge part in lore. They answer the question of if Jango Fett is a Mandalorian by canonizing the Jaster stuff. To those who don't know who Jaster is, he's a Mandalorian that is from Concord Dawn, and he actually is exiled from there. But during that, he also like recruits Jango Fett, who is orphaned on Concord Dawn. And he trains him in the way of the Mandalorians and stuff. So Jango Fett is canonically a foundling, meaning that Boba Fett, who is a clone of Jango Fett, is also a foundling, because he's also raised by Jango and trained by Jango. Just because he doesn't adopt the same creed as Mando doesn't mean he's not a Mandalorian, because if you remember, Bo-Katan even said it herself. It's like, it's just different ways of doing it.
So is the child of a foundling still considered a foundling, or are they considered like just a full Mandalorian?
I think technically they're full Mando, because a foundling is a Mandalorian. It's just like a type of Mandalorian. Like foundlings they look down upon by like some of the uppity guys. Like for example, earlier in season 1, there's Paz Vizsla, the heavy trooper Mandalorian, who's like, you're a foundling, you're a little shit. And it's like, yeah, he's definitely one of those assholes. He's a fucking Vizsla, for God's sake.
So in a way, Boba Fett is more of a Mandalorian than Din
the
Djarin.
Mandalorian. Yeah. It's crazy, right? And yet Boba Fett is like, he has his own code of ethics and honor, and like he does do honor bound stuff, like, you know, like in the show they show him like actually like keep up like his end of the deal and stuff. But that's just because that's just shit Jango taught him about like being a good bounty hunter. One of the things you do is like you make sure your end of the contract is also kept up and stuff like that. It's like Boba Fett,
because you don't want to be the guy that owes something.
Yeah. And on top of that, though, it's just like, you know, it's just good business. Like, Jango Fett, he was a bad
he did
guy,
also,
but
he did also teach Boba to lie to everyone. Yeah. So that brings into question, what are his real motivations for helping Din?
Yeah, I think it was just the armor, to be honest, on this one, because, you know, if I had a suit of armor that was my family heirloom that I lost, I'd probably want it back no matter what.
Yeah, well, I guess that does fall under like keeping up his end of the bargain.
Yeah, because like don't tell people the truth and stuff like about like what was it? It was a saying Jango said, like a Fett never reveals the whole truth or some shit like that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm getting at though. Like I'm sure he is trying to like hold up his end of the bargain.
I do think Boba
by saying like, well, technically I said I will guarantee the child's safety, and so now he's in trouble. But I mean, he could have just as easily said like, fuck you, I'm done. I didn't kill the child. I got my armor. I'm out. So does he have some kind of ulterior motive for going with him?
Yeah, I think he probably does, just because, you know, Boba does have a history of working with the Empire. Empire Strikes Back wasn't the only time. Like even in canonical like shit, he is seen throughout like the comics working for the Empire, doing missions for them and shit like that. So I do think he does have a side objective that he hasn't told anyone. Maybe he told Fennec about it, but I'm just excited to see Boba Fett back though, because it's like all of the stuff.
Do you think he'll betray Din Djarin once they get to where Grogu is held.
I don't think he's gonna betray him outright, but I do think at some point he's gonna like double cross him or something.
Yeah, because like, I mean, it could be that the Empire like hired him either after the fact, after like the last episode or before, to be like, hey, you know, get this guy off our tail.
Yeah.
So like, it could be like at the last second, Boba turns his guns on him.
Maybe. Kind of like how what Grief Karga was gonna do in the first season. But at the same time, though, it's like that's the Carla Weathers' guy, the marshal, not marshal, the governor kind of dude.
Is he the guy that was like
Hunter Guild? He's like Lando, but lamer.
He's like Lando, so he's black, is what you're saying.
No, well, okay, yeah, but he also like wears a cape and like is always like trying to dress exquisitely and shit.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. The guy that was like giving him the jobs.
Yeah, the leader of the Bounty Hunters Guild on fuck, what's it called?
The planet that might as well be Tatooine.
Yeah, the next desert planet. The one where the Jawas there wear like dark clothes and have red eyes. Which is just even more confusing.
Yeah.
Are they Sith Jawas? Let's talk about the evil Jawas for a second. What what are they? Huh? They're just called off-world Jawas, but clearly they're a different subset of a species.
Well, that's kind of weird because like Jawas evolved specifically on Tatooine, right? And they don't have space travel, do they? Unless they like hitched a ride with like someone else at the cantina.
Well, I mean, I think Jawas are capable of space travel, but it's just like, why would you go to space?
Well, it's like they're primarily land based, and they're just kind of fine doing what they're doing.
Yeah, but it's just like at the same time, it's like, is there really that big of a market for them? Like outside of Tatooine? Because it's like they're scavengers. Their whole thing is they sell to like extremely poor individuals. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
They want to turn a profit on that.
Yeah, back to Boba Fett though. Like, there's a couple different options for where his character could go.
And the thing is, though, since they're canonizing a whole bunch of legend stuff, it also makes it even more confusing. Like, because a lot of the legend stuff contradicts like who he is in canon stuff. Because in canon, he's an Imperial. He works for the Empires, and he does a whole bunch of shit for them. But in Legends, they always make him out that he's against the Empire and only works for them, like, begrudgingly. It's like, I just don't know where he'd stand on everything.
Well, the general vibe that I get from him is that when he works for the Empire, it's just a job, and they pay him well.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, a lot of times that's where he does it. But, like, when it actually comes down to his morals and shit... Like, I don't know, like, where he'd go with it. It's just...
Yeah. What do you think of the possibility of him ending up ruling Mandalore?
Boba Fett?
Yeah, Boba Fett.
I think that's where they're going. Him or Bo-Katan are going to rule Mandalore.
I know Bo-Katan is trying to get the Darksaber so she can rule. Now, is that, like, a power thing, or is that, like, a symbolic, like, I need this as, like, my crown?
Both. The person who holds the Darksaber... is because it's the Mandalore's like lightsaber. That was the actual character Mandalore's like signature weapon was the oldest lightsaber, the Darksaber.
Yeah.
But it's more of like both a symbol of authority and just because it's like a prophecy thing. It's like a crown basically. It's like a true Mandalorian
leader. He who
leader
holds the Darksaber rules Mandalore.
Basically.
Okay.
That's why Maul took it when he took over Mandalore in the cartoon. That's why Pre Vizsla had the really good stake on the throne of Mandalore with a whole bunch of the warrior caste guys because he had the Darksaber. And like a lot of Mandalorians still follow like bits and pieces, like different versions of the way of the Mandalore. Who also never took off his helmet, and that's why the Children of the Watch are so fanatical about that.
Now, I don't know, like what happened with Mandalore, like post Clone Wars. I don't know if you know.
Post Clone Wars, basically what happened is
like I know Darth Maul like started ruling because he had the Darksaber and he was in charge of them.
Yep.
But then
there's the Siege, which is in season 7 where they break it.
Right. Okay. So then who's ruling at that point?
At that point, that's
when Maul fucks off and becomes a crime lord, right?
Yeah. At that point, there's it's unclear who the ruler is. It's not Bo-Katan or any of them though, because that's later on.
Yeah, and I know Bo-Katan is trying to get the Darksaber and rule Mandalore.
If I remember correctly, I think what it is Imperial occupation happens at that point. The Republic like has a military force set there, and then Order 66 happens, and it becomes a galactic Imperial planet. And then during Rebels, Bo-Katan and the chick that's a Mandalorian with the kids, I forget what the fuck her name is, Sabine or something like that. Her and Bo-Katan help unite the Mandalorians, and Sabine has the Darksaber but gives it to Bo-Katan because Bo-Katan is clearly better suited to lead because A, she's in charge of her own clan, and B, she's not 18.
Yeah.
So that happens. Bo-Katan at that point becomes the Mandalore of Mandalore. And then after that, it's the
amazing title, by the way.
Yeah, the Mandalore of Mandalore was a man named Mandalore. Who knew?
Call back to the first episode, by the way. The very first episode of this podcast talking about the Mandalorian like lore.
It gets even more insane. I think I mentioned it back there, but it's not just the planet that's named Mandalore. That system, that segment of the galaxy is called Mandalore.
The Mandalore of Mandalore of Mandalore
is named Mandalore.
I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing. I fucking hate it so much.
Mandalore to the 5th power.
Yeah, when they finally conquer the whole galaxy, they just rename it to Mandalore. But
so it goes under Imperial occupation, and then the Empire falls.
No. Because like what happens is it is during Rebels, Sabine and Bo-Katan get Mandalore back, and and Bo-Katan for a little bit unites the Mandalorians and actually like becomes Mandalore for a bit, and then it's the Mandalorian Scourge, which is the Imperials launched another attack on Mandalore to just fuck them up and shit. Because, like, Mandalore's got all that precious Beskar, which is impervious to both blaster fire and also lightsaber attacks. So the Empire decides that they want that planet back, so they just send a whole like fleet there and just literally decimate them in a matter of moments.
Yeah. By the way, Beskar resistant to blasters and lightsabers, as opposed to what the Empire is currently using for armor, which isn't even resistant to a guy with a stick.
Yeah. And somehow the Empire are able to slaughter them. But it's mostly because Mandalore still has a whole lot of civilian populace. Most of the actual Mandalorian clans, the warrior clans, tend to like roam the galaxy. Especially
I know Mandalore was like pacifist during the Clone Wars, except for like Death Watch.
There's two like castes for it. There's like the diplomatic Mandalores, which are like the civilians basically, and then there's the warrior caste, which are the Boba Fetts, the ones that everyone likes because they're the cool badass guys, and they're basically just space Vikings. Yeah, but so. Basically, the Seeds was just a huge war crime, but they were able to hit the Mandalorians hard, take all the Beskar they could, and slaughter most of them, which resulted in many of the clans fleeing from Mandalore and living out the rest of their lives on different planets, where we see the Children of the Watch in season 1. What happened to the other ones, I'm not sure, but I assume it's the same fate, except for Bo-Katan, who managed to get a little bit of a military group going. So that's Mandalorian lore. But, it's just... What was the question again? You wanted Boba Fett to become Mandalore?
Yeah, I was just wondering, it seems like they're going... Like, it seems like Bo-Katan and Boba Fett are both on track to possibly lead Mandalore.
And see, I don't think Boba Fett really wants to be the leader of Mandalore because, like, in Legends, he was the leader of Mandalore and all that stuff. But at the same time, though, he still did his own thing. He still liked being Boba Fett. He liked doing the bounty hunter shit because that's what that's the family business. Like, Boba Fett's allegiances are less towards the Mandalorian people and more towards his father. So,
right.
If it's what Jango would have done, Boba would have done it. So
yeah. So
he'd probably join the resistance group though, just because, like, Jango Fett did fight in the Civil Wars and stuff like that.
Yeah. So possibly what they could do is, like, Bo-Katan is trying to get the Darksaber to rule Mandalore. Boba Fett's along with them, like, still trying to keep the child safe and stuff. And
then he throws a lightsaber back to Gideon. Like, sorry, he paid me money. I have to.
No, I was gonna say, like, it could be possible that, like, Bo-Katan is, like, getting the Darksaber, but, like, she dies in combat. And Boba Fett's like, I guess I owe it to my father and to the Mandalorian people to take the Darksaber and lead.
Nah, what I kind of want
the leader. But no, I was gonna mention though earlier. So since Moff Gideon has the Darksaber at the moment, doesn't that make him technically the ruler of Mandalore? That makes him the Mandalore.
That's why they're so keen on trying to get it back. Because without that, any idea of power to the warrior caste would be considered invalid.
Right.
They won't consider Moff Gideon the leader, though, because he didn't take it in fair combat. Because, he laid a siege on a planet and then butchered the people and stole whatever he felt like. Like, he sent troopers to secure the location instead of going there himself.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to work out the timeline. So Maul is ruling Mandalore. He's the Mandalore of Mandalore of Mandalore in the Mandalorian system.
Yep.
And then the Empire takes over.
No, it's the Republic Siege of Mandalore, in which they break Republic
Siege of Mandalore. Yep, that's in season 7.
Yep. Then Order 66.
So then who has the Darksaber at that point?
I think the Darksaber falls in possession. No, okay, I think I know what happens. I'm trying to remember. I think Clan Ren, which is where Sabine comes from, takes it in. And then they get displaced by the Empire, which is why Sabine has it in Rebels. I haven't seen Rebels that much, so my knowledge on that kind of stuff is a bit, it's a bit fuzzy. But I believe what happens is Clan Ren has a leader in it, and Sabine is like the daughter of them. And then the siege, and then Order 66 happens. Ren gets displaced along with a bunch of them. Like, it's still mostly like the normal people there, though. The warrior clans, most of them have left because they side with the separatists and stuff like that. So then after that, then it's Bo-Katan and Ren getting the first Mandalorian resistance set up. And then pardon me. And then after that, it's fucking Gideon's thing. Now, this is happening before the Empire's fall, by the way. Moff Gideon's thing, he's not Moff at that point. He's not he's not in charge. I forget what he was. He's an ISP agent. He's one of the Imperial Secret Police.
Yeah.
But he's an ISP agent at that point he comes up with the idea for it, I think, and that's how they were able to figure out how he got ranked up so quickly. And then the fall of the Empire, in which what happened to the Mandalorians when they split up is what happens to the Empire, and they all become separate bands with warlords and shit. Like feudal Japan.
Yeah.
So Moff Gideon becomes his own warlord, leading the people that he led during the Mandalorian Scourge. And at that point, he has the Darksaber at that point, because he already, did the Scourge. He gets it from Bo-Katan. He doesn't kill her, though, for some reason. I'm guessing she escapes before then. But the Empire do get their hands on it, and then fucking Gideon gets it. And then Mandalorian happens.
Okay. And now we're all caught up with the lore. Cool.
Yep. And right now, there is the Clan Kryz, which is Bo-Katan's clan, is trying to reclaim the Darksaber to get her back in place as MandaLORE.
Yeah.
Like, she's the leader of the Resistance, but she's not the leader of MandaLORE. Because, like, you know, the warrior clan's weird honor shit.
Yeah. Yeah, we went over that. So yeah, that was a whole lot of Mandalorian
we
lore.
said the word Mandalorian so many times it hurts.
That was a lot of lore. Basically just to say Boba Fett is cool and he's back and that's awesome.
Yeah. I absolutely love though that he has a dad bod now.
Oh yeah.
Thicc Boba Fett is the
representation.
Best Boba Fett. I like it. Finally, now people can stop insulting the people that are overweight doing Mandalorian cosplay. If it's cool when Boba does it, it should be cool when they do it.
Yeah.
So that's one of those annoying things I see a lot of people complaining about that when there's the Mandalorian parades. It's like I'm not upset because I'm a heavy set individual because I'm fucking fat myself, but it's just upsetting to see because it's just like the whole point of the like Mandalorians is just like they're the cool guys of Star Wars and shit. Like, what the fuck is all this about? Like, they're basically space Vikings, and I can tell you, Vikings aren't exactly tall, lanky individuals. They don't look like fucking Cobb Vanth. They look like Thicc Fett.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're a warrior and you're like laying siege or whatever warriors do,
they have a like
you're not always gonna have or need like a lean body type.
Especially though, it's like if you look at it, because Mandalorians are all about strength and stuff. Like the strongest survives and shit like that. Look at World's Strongest Men. The strongest ones tend to be really, really fat and also really, really buff because they have a diet that's essentially they eat 500 steaks every day because they need so much protein to maintain that
delicious.
Mass. But no, it's serious. It's like the amount of
they never like have
intake.
The Nutrisystem body type.
Yeah, they have the I pillaged an entire village and ate everyone body type.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, that's the body type I'd imagine Mandalorians to have. Like the commandos definitely would be thinner, but like again, the heavy trooper and shit like that, those guys, they'd be fucking thick as hell.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's just annoying to see that though, because it's like it's the Star Wars fandom. I think everyone in it is a bit fat.
Yeah.
Like we sit on our asses all day reading the sacred texts. I haven't exercised in an eon.
Yeah, they're surprisingly like. Well, I was gonna say there's surprisingly few like fat Jedi, but I guess it makes sense. Like the at least the ones that are like running around doing stuff, like it makes sense. Like they're primarily like acrobatic and stuff. So I guess it makes
and
sense
also
that
like
they would be thinner.
Jedis are supposed to be like kind of like monks and stuff, and a lot of monks tend to have that whole like fasting stuff. Like they don't eat because it like helps them get to enlightenment and shit. So I wouldn't be too surprised if that's in the Jedi Creed somewhere.
Don't have to eat if you have your brain suspended inside of a spider droid.
Exactly. See, the Bomar monks have exactly the right idea. You wanna
return to Bomar.
We must return to Spood. Oh no, Alex, they became crab.
progress to crab.
Progress to crab, discover reality.
No, the last thing I want to talk about though is like, just before we close it out, I just want to talk about how like fucking ruthless Boba Fett is against those stormtroopers.
God, it is amazing.
I've never seen their armor shatter that.
I want to gush about this because I fucking
them.
love this. One of my favorite things in actual history are warrior clans and stuff like that. I love reading about their history, like their beliefs and shit. The guy that plays Boba Fett and Jango Fett, Tamara Morrison, is part of the Maui, one of the Maui war clans. And like what he did to help incorporate some of his culture into the character of Boba Fett is, you know, when he's beating them with the gaffy stick?
Yeah.
He's actually using Maui warrior training and shit. Like a lot of their martial arts.
That's actually like
I fucking
something
love
that I never noticed. Like I knew that he was from New Zealand, but I never like thought about how like, oh, he looks like actually like indigenous. Like,
oh yeah, no, he's got roots. I think he's like 50%.
Like, yeah, it makes sense. Like, I never noticed how much that ties into the character that he's playing, coming from the Maori like warrior clan.
He's even doing like their signature war face the entire time he's beating people to death with a fucking stick. I love it. But I really hope they keep that with Boba Fett because he worked really well with it. That spear staff, the gaffy stick.
Yeah,
he hit them so hard. He literally shattered one's head.
I know. That's like, I felt bad for the stormtroopers, to be honest.
My favorite
part
is
that's a way worse fate than like getting a lightsaber slashing through you.
My favorite part is when they finally used his knee rockets.
Yes. Were those ever canon? Like, was that something that was used at any point?
In one of the very first Star Wars, like Pictionary book things, it's like picture vocabulary or whatever you call them. It mentions that Boba Fett has all over his body several weapons hidden on him, including spurs in his chutes that shoot spikes out, like what Aurra Sing has, and kneecap rockets.
That's awesome.
Just like Jango Fett, because it's his armor, the gauntlets have tiny like Batman knives hidden inside of them. The flamethrower and also blaster attachment, which is never shown until now, which also makes me happy. I really am happy they're showing off all of his arsenal now.
Yeah.
The rocket. I do like the added detail though that the jetpack is still malfunctioning. How he aimed for the other one and it hit the wrong one.
Yes.
It's like, God, you need to get new gear, man. Nice shot. I was aiming for the other one.
That almost makes it more badass, though.
Yeah, even when he fucks up, he's doing great.
He accidentally like did the best shot.
Yeah, I think they did that though, just so it looked cool, and also it explains that Boba Fett's badass. It's just his gear that's faulty. Because again, episode 6. Oh God, episode 6. Like, the canonical opinion on that is that Boba Fett was drunk the whole time. Which, if they're going
that
by...
makes sense.
The problem is, though, if they're going to do the moral code he has in Last One Standing, that means that Boba Fett broke one of his only rules.
Last One Standing, that's
the one where he's, like, super conservative for some reason.
Okay, so that takes place before Return of the Jedi?
Yeah. Oh. The Last One Standing is just Boba Fett's backstory. It's from
is that canon or is that Legends?
It's
Legends. That something from Legends that they're bringing back?
We don't know. People think it is because it's one of the mentions where it's like, oh, this is Boba Fett's whole backstory and everything, and it's like it was made after the prequels
as it is
stuff.
Like prior to this episode, that was considered Legends.
Yes.
So so my idea that I think I heard this somewhere, but my idea is that after the whole Sarlacc incident, that's when he got his whole like moral
Shit
code
together.
Set up, like situated.
Like, you know what? This is a horrible situation to be in.
My previous decision making did not work out very well. It got me to this point, and I think it's time to reevaluate.
I see. I like the idea more though of like he still has the same moral compass and stuff. It's just that he's literally a like true neutral kind of person. He's just in it for the money. Or in this case, like his actual gear.
Yeah.
I do like him being more of a hero character though, because like, you know, even though Jango Fett was a bad dude, he did do a lot of stuff like in the best interest for both him, his son, and also his people. And it's like, I can respect that in a dude. Even if he, you know, is a really evil guy.
Yeah. But anyway, that was the last thing I wanted to talk about before we wrap up.
I'm just going to say this,
because we've been recording for a while.
For 2 hours and 15 minutes and 35 seconds. But before we wrap up, though, I just want to say this. I can't wait for Boba Fett to shoot a poison dart into Fennec's neck.
Who is that again?
That's the chick that he's teamed up with.
Oh.
Are you talking about the person Jango Fett murdered?
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that.
It's like, oh, I just like doing what my dad did. Hey, Fennec, hold this for me. I can't wait, though. It's going to be so good.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you, everyone, for listening to Bold of You to Say. We appreciate you dedicating your time to this show. If you like today's episode, if you're listening on YouTube, leave a like, subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode. Share with a friend that you think will like the show, even if you personally didn't like it. Share it with everyone you know. Chances are someone will like it. Follow us on social media. We'll have our Twitter and other stuff linked down below.
I'll put my OnlyFans down there.
Yeah. I'll have I'll have stuff related to what we talked about linked under additional resources, like a video from the Ink Tank going over the timelines and stuff. I think I said that it'll be linked. Anyway, yeah, that's where you'll find it at the bottom under additional resources. And yeah, just have a good day or night whenever you're listening to this, but it does have to be night.
It has to be between the hours of 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. We've already
I'm sorry, it's canon.
If I see a single blip that is off time, I will go to your house and pee in your pants.
And that's a guarantee. That's a promise.
Dirty boys.
And also keep an eye out for next week's episode. If all goes according to plan, it'll be our Christmas special recorded entirely in VR chat. So that one you'll want to watch on YouTube for if that sounds interesting to you. Otherwise, we will of course have the audio version up on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple, whatever, iTunes, Apple Watch. Listen on your new AirPods Max.
Hey, listen on your fridge.
Which I saw released. I saw the trailer for the AirPods Max earlier. They're ridiculous, but that's another topic for another time. Thank you for listening. This has been Bold of You to Say. I am your host, Alex Myers.
I am your co-host. I don't know.
Signing out. Have a good one.
Where am I?
All right, that was a good one.
That was fun.
Oh, I forgot to say, we did it, Reddit. Another episode.
We did it, Reddit.
We did it, Reddit.